Janette Budge and I designed the Sumburgh Light hat for the Shetland Woolwick Annual 2021. I've come along today to share a little bit about the inspiration for the hat and why I chose the motifs and colours that I did. This is the hat here, if you haven't seen it already, and it's a traditional beanie style with a corrugated rib, and the colours begin with Admiral Navy. It really had to be the Admiral Navy from the Jamiesons of Shetland range because of the lighthouse inspiration and being surrounded by the sea. I'm actually videoing here today in the lighthouse keeper's cottage that is available for rent now that the lighthouse has been manned. It's still an operational lighthouse, but there isn't a dedicated lighthouse keeper, so the accommodation is available to rent, and I'm using it for the film today. The next colour we have is Prairie green, and there's also a darker Fern, and these greens go very well together and they echo the colours that you see on the cliff top banks and on the lighthouse building doors. There's a lovely strong green in there too. And we have the lime green, which is a lovely zesty green, and you find that with the mosses that grow at the bottom of the dicks here around the site. And then you have the grey from the dicks themselves, and this one has this is rye, and it has little flecks of lime in it, which really helps to make it a harmonious blend. Then you've got two yellows. You've got Scotch Broom and you've got the mustard. And the Scotch Broom helps the mustard to glow that bit more. It's a much richer yellow than the Scotch Broom, but the two together work very well. The motifs here, then the diamond shapes down here are from the window shapes on the lighthouse itself, and this square edging is from the corners of the buildings. It's usually like that, right down the corners of all the buildings here, the paintwork. And then we've got this shape here, which is from a small window that's low down on the lighthouse, that's got these asticles that come out, and then I've added a few extra bits to it, and it almost looks like a light shining out as well. And then we come on to the crown, which is the 8 points of the compass, and it's also the light shining out, the beams of light. And we've got the main beams here, and then all the other light that's shining out in all directions around Sumburgh Head. Some have wondered why I didn't put yellow all the way down, but in fair knitting it's best to have a balance of colours throughout your hat. So if I take the lime green here, then I've got a little bit here, a little touch in each of these places, another little bit again, and down here, and also a touch in the corrugated rib. So there's a little bit of each colour in each section of the hat, and that helps to give it a more harmonious look. Another tip, if you want to change the colours in your hat that you're going to knit, then if you really study the yarns that you have and see what sort of flex there is in your yarns, then that'll help you to choose the other colours. For instance, the Prairie here has little flecks of sort of yellow and tan brown colours, things like that, which goes very well with the Scotch Broom and mustard. The Fern has little touches of blue, as well as being the green, and even yellow as well, so that goes very well with the Admiral and the mustard. As I mentioned, the rye has the flecks of green and maybe a little bit of yellow too, so it all sort of helps to make it a harmonious effect. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to all have flecks. The Admiral and the mustard are both solids, as is the lime colour as well. So a little bit about the the lighthouse itself. It was built 200 years ago, and so its anniversary was on the 15th of January 2021. And so it was in the news, and about the time that I was thinking about inspiration for the hat, and I came down for a walk, and it really inspired me, the location and being able to see Fair Isle on a clear day as well, with being the Fair Isle motifs, and just it's amazing to think that the building has withstood the Shetland weather right on a cliff top for 200 years. It was built by Robert Stevenson, who was the grandfather of author Robert Louis Stevenson, and it was first lit on the 15th of January 1821. So it's hard to know how many ships that the lighthouse has saved in all that time, but and it's really only in modern times that we've had radar and GPS to help shipping navigate. So before that, lighthouses was a very important part of navigation around coastlines, and Sumburgh Head played its part in that. So it's a nice way to honour the lighthouse and to remember its usage and stories. And if you want to know more about the anniversary, then you can look up the hashtag SumburghHead200, and there's a lot of stories and photographs that people put on, and organisations to help share the stories of the lighthouse. But thank you for listening to me today, and if you want to know more about me or my knitting, if you go to JanetteBudge.com. Thank you. Happy knitting!